Top chat. We're doing all chat, live chat. There we go. I believe we're going. All right. I don't need this. Get rid of that. I need that one. Okay. It's because we're at the start, right? It doesn't really matter. No one watches this part anyways. All right. Ready? Ready? Here we go. Good morning! Welcome to yet another episode of Redstone Lapis Lazuli. It is I, your host, Pogokiro. I am back, yes, once again. Hello, hey, let's begin. Back to game. Oh, not yet. First, I have to, get out of this title screen. Bop! Okay, there we go. Back to game, yes. Observe. What have I done? The nether base becomes even more crowded, even more complicated. I have to put a sign there. Let me put a sign there. A sign everywhere. Signs. Can I even put it? Oh, I can. I can put it on the glass. To Piglin Bastion. Yes, done. I have created this monstrosity right in the middle of my base. And this train line will take me to the Piglin Bastion. Let us proceed. Let us proceed in a Minecraft fashion. In a minecart, if you will. Ah! So the other track is down there. It's like right below me. I haven't gone anywhere. And then I'm gonna meet up with it up here. Yeah, you see, there's the other track. So, two tracks in tandem, but they do not go to the same place. No. This track goes beyond where the other one goes. You see, I came from over there. And yeah, that one goes into this track here, I believe goes to the mangrove swamp. I could be wrong. I don't remember anymore. That's why I put up signs, right? So I don't have to remember. I just follow the signs. See, there's that one. And we will go beyond. So a lot of this is Crimson Forest, which isn't my favorite biome. It's alright. It's alright. If I have to pick a favorite one, it would be the Nether Waste, because it's easy it's nostalgic. I remember first wandering the Nether, not knowing that there was nothing in it in the beginning. Man, I wandered far. It sucked. Oh, wait, what's that? That was weird. So yeah, AMD updated their drivers, and they're not perfect, as you can tell. The drivers have something left to be desired. Oh, that guy would kill me. Oh shit, he will kill me. Will he come down here? No, you won't. Ha 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 ha. So here I am. I am standing atop of Piglin Bastion. It's freaking dark. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That's a bug from the new shaders, or the new drivers that AMD put out. Well, they're not new. They were put out in June, I think, and we're in July now. But you see, it starts really messing up. I mean, it's great performance, but it causes big problems, and I don't know why. Like, what is that? It's nothing. There's nothing there. It's just a bug. It's a visual bug. But whenever it has to render a complex scene, like in Minecraft, for example, in the Nether, it starts tweaking out. So hopefully AMD will fix that. Right? AMD, right? Hopefully you'll fix it. Anyways, so below me are the housing place. I don't want to go down, I have no torches. And it's filled with piglins who will kill me. Right? That's the whole point. Or the whole thing, is that the like these are connected. Yeah, you see that's the breeding pools for whatever. There's a nice gold brick that I'll steal later on. 2 of them, in fact. And then there's an entire other building I can go like check out. But it's far too dangerous now because the glitches. And I'm only wearing elytra wings. Check out my elytra wings. Oh yeah, dude. Let me show you what magic these things can do. Once I go back home. Glitches, glitches. All the little glitches. Glitches, glitches. And it's because the scene is like really complex. So I don't know what they did, what AMD did, but whatever they did, they should fix it. Because it's pretty trippy. I don't know if it will even like come out in the encoding or whatever. But yeah, it happens in the overworld too when I go to jungle biomes or mangrove swamp biomes. Any biome that's very complex, lots of faces or whatever, lots of edges, it craps out. So AMD, get on that, man. I mean, I dig it that like it's a lot better performance than it was before, but it's also tweaking out, and I don't know why. I can't fix it. I can't make it go away. It's not the mods. I checked all the mods. I mean, if I have to, I'll go just like no shaders, which is it's pretty cool in and of itself. You know, don't get me wrong. But shaders, I think, in Minecraft add a certain level of immersion that's kind of missing. Like, this lava looks hot. And I like the difference. You can see the different kind of light between the lava light and glowstone light. Ta-da! Back home. I had to reduce the number of frogs in there to try to save frames. Like, I guess OBS is very, very demanding on the video card. Okay. Sugi wa nan desu ka? Sleep. What else have I done? Not really. That's about it. I found this cool mod that lets me fly as if it were a flight simulator. I dig this so much. This is the way, yeah, this is great. It's a little hard to control. You have to it takes some getting used to. But yeah, this is how the elytra should be. Yeah, it makes it so it's a little bit more difficult to like land and stuff. But this feels like flying. Ah. Whee. So, as you know, in Ukraine, they're doing their counter offensive, and they're going a little bit slow. and that's okay, right? Russia has had how many months to prepare for this? So of course it's not going to be like a walk through the park. It's going to take a little while. I understand that. I'm not like particularly in a rush, you know. They're the ones who are dying, not me. So, to that end, I was thinking, what better way to help the Ukrainians than to give them access to F-16 fighter jets? They've been doing everything they've been doing without air superiority. That's pretty amazing. Imagine if they had air superiority and they could start doing combined arms with air power. They wouldn't have to rely so heavily upon drones to take out positions. You could just drop bombs or fire missiles from F-16s way up in the air. Like, I think that the current strategy of Ukraine is to wear out the Russians, to make them use up all their reserves and their ammo. At first they're trying assaults and they're getting kind of beat up. So they switch tactics. And they're doing like feints and to make the Russians move about, spread their resources really thin, and then use up all their artillery ammo because they're not getting resupplied. That's the thing. Ukrainians spent a bunch of time taking out the ammo depots and logistics. They spent a lot of time taking out those things. So, since the Russians aren't going to be resupplied very easily, it's good to have them use up all their ammo on feints and on wasted places. That way, when the real assault comes, they won't have anything left. Like, that's the whole point. Get them to waste all their stuff on feints, and then when the real assault comes, they won't have anything to defend with. And the reserves will have been depleted. Deplete their reserves. I'm cool with that. I'm alright. So yeah, today's show is going to be a little bit light, I think, because I can tell you a story. Yeah, I went out Friday night thinking, oh yeah, I'm just gonna go out and enjoy, have a little enjoyment. So I went to a local establishment to have some food and a drink, and play some video games, like arcade games and pinball. And I was going to play pinball, and I was going, and I saw these two ladies, and they looked around my age. So I thought, oh, like, I'm in this bar, it's filled with young people, but hey, check this out. I think I see two ladies, like, hanging out by themselves, playing an arcade game. Let me just go play an arcade game next to them, just to see what happens. So I walk over there, and I pick the Star Wars game, and I start to play the Star Wars game, when I notice there's a quarter on the ground. And I'm like, did I drop a quarter? Because I've already dropped quarters before in there. So I go down and pick up the quarter. And as I pick up the quarter on the ground, I hear cheers, yay! And I stand up, and the two ladies are looking at me cheering, and they're saying, yay, you picked up the quarter. We put that on there to see who would pick it up. I'm like, really? Okay, sure, I'll play along. I'm like, okay, yeah, do you want your quarterback? She's like, no, it was our game. I'm like, okay. And then so I'm like, well, we started talking, let's keep going. I'm like, hey, my name is Robert, They're like, oh yeah, blah, blah, blah. They introduce themselves. And Yeah, we just start talking. And at first I'm like, the first thing I'm going to say, right? One of the first things I'm going to determine is like relationship status. Right? That's the first thing I need to know. Like, are you guys like, what's the deal here? I mean, I'm not that I'm like because, right? My purpose is like, part of my purpose of going out is not only to have a quote quote good time, but also to meet people, and I'm looking for a relationship. Let's right? So that's what I'm after. That's what, I'm a single guy, so that's what I'm out looking for nice ladies to talk to. And who are not currently in a relationship, because if you talk to ladies in a relationship, generally there are problems. So I wanted to clear that up right away. I'm like, hey, so you guys here by yourselves? And they're like, no, we're married. I'm like, okay. Ground rules already established. Good. So I'm like, I switched into my other mode, right? My other mode is to like pimp my show. Ta-da! What I'm doing right now. Like, the whole point of, like, I do this on purpose, this show to help teach Americans, and because I believe, and I have a lot of support, a lot of empirical evidence to support this, that the United States is under a fascist attack. The fascists are trying to destroy American institutions and take over the country. Absolutely, yes. I have lots and lots of evidence. I've got years worth of evidence. So, but I also know that there have been techniques used against Americans in order to confuse and demoralize them. I know that, and that's for a fact. I've got it from Americans will tell me that, and the Russians will tell me that. It's both sides will tell me the same thing. Yep. Russians are trying to do it. That's what they do. Try to demoralize Americans to get them to give up on democracy and to give up on the idea of truth. That's what they're trying to do. Yep. So part of this, I mean, I live a really cool life. I'm pretty well pampered, right? I'm not pampered, but I'm saying I'm okay, right? I've got like a roof over my head. Like, I didn't suffer last night because I had air conditioning, access to air conditioning. Like, if I didn't have access to air conditioning, I would overheat and not be able to sleep. Like, imagine it's so hot that you're not able to sleep. Like, sucks. So climate change will affect poor people because they're not the people who are not going to have air conditioning to go to sleep. They're not going to have it, so they're going to suffer in the daytime, and then they have to go to work the next morning. Like, that's awful. That's awful. The quality of their work is going to really, really suffer because they're exhausted, because they can't sleep, because the temperature is too hot. Like, a third of the country is under heat warnings today. And what's that from? Climate change, guys. Climate change. We didn't have these freaking heat warnings over a third of the country 50 years ago. It didn't happen because we had 50 years less of dumping CO2 into the atmosphere. Carbon dioxide. Where does carbon dioxide come from? We dug it up out of the ground, where it had been kept for millions upon millions of years. Hundreds of millions of years it was buried in the earth, and we dug it up and put it back in the air. That's why we have these ginormous heat warnings across a third of the country. That if you have air conditioning, you're okay. You don't even feel the heat. But if you don't have air conditioning, it's miserable. And imagine if you're an animal. So anyways, I got off, right? I was at the bar talking to these two nice ladies who just told me they're married. So I said, hey, let me pimp my show. Let me tell you about my show. Wait, before I even go that way, who is opposed to doing anything about this climate change? The Republicans. There's a political party who's opposed to doing anything to solve climate change. So that party, which is opposed to doing anything about climate change, also happens to be the party that supports fascism. that wants to destroy American institutions, American democratic institutions. They're the same thing. The same group that wants climate change is also the same group that wants to get rid of democracy. So I feel it's my duty to inform people. I've been well taken care of. I mean, I've had lots of benefits bestowed upon me my entire life. This is my way of trying to give back. I'm trying to give back by raising people's consciousness of the way things are going on. And a lot of people are confused. Including these two ladies, to whom I was talking. I was talking to these two ladies, and I gave them my card, and I let them know ahead of time, listen, my content is left-leaning. It's left-leaning. It leans to the left. Be sure to, it's a warning. They wanted to like have their husband announce my show at their MMA, because I guess like at some MMA like event. I'm like, wait a minute, before you start giving me free advertisement, which I don't, that's cool, I'd like it, but before you do that, make sure you know what you're advertising. I'm left leaning. Make sure you know what's going on. They didn't tell me which side they were on. I was just letting them know before anything went any further, right? In the interest of transparency. And then they said, well, I can tell that they both were on Team Republican. But they weren't like assholes about it. They just asked me, one asked me, did you vote for Biden? And I'm like, yeah, I voted for Biden. I absolutely support Biden. Yep. And then she said to me, and this is what was interesting, she said to me, well, according to all my social media, Biden has dementia and is incapable of doing anything. I'm like, wow. Really? So she's like, yeah. So her belief, her perception of Joe Biden is that he's a doddering old man who can't do anything. And me, I'm looking at it and I'm like, geez, man, Joe Biden is fucking brilliant. Joe Biden is like one of the most successful presidents we've had in the past 50 years. It's amazing what Joe Biden has done. I can't get over how successful Joe Biden has been. Like, I can't get over it. I can't get over it, how good he is. No. So how is it possible that someone has the perception that Joe Biden is a doddering old man with dementia when he's the most successful U.S. president in the past 50 years? How is that even possible? I mean, when you compare Joe Biden to Donald Trump, who lies nonstop and who's a convicted sexual assaulter, and who's indicted for espionage. When you look at that and compare, well, Donald Trump and Joe Biden, I just don't see how you could possibly compare the two and arrive at the conclusion that Joe Biden has dementia, unless your media stream is polluted. That's what's going on. These women get their information from social media, not from traditional media sources, not from newspapers and the nightly news. They don't watch mainstream media anymore. What they're doing is they're on Facebook and getting forwards from their friends or whatever. And it's like an echo chamber. And anyone could drop in anything into their stream, and because it gets forwarded by their friend, they will believe it. Even if it's something crazy, as long as it was forwarded by their friend, someone in their trusted network, as long as it came within their trusted network, they would accept it as true. So as you know, though, right? That's basically that's basically hacking, computer hacking. Computer hacking works the same way, right? Like, you have a network, and in your network, everything's cool, right? Everything's like, you can trust files from other people in your network because you're all in your little ecosystem, in your bubble, right? But there are people coming from outside trying to get in, and they're from outside that network. And when they come into the network, everyone knows, hey, everyone, this is coming from outside. Don't necessarily trust it. In fact, we may not even let you in. That's how much it is. But a virus, can get inside and then pretend to say, can get inside the network, and then pretend that it always came from within the network. That way, someone will pick it up, and then this information within the network. Man, I'm doing it with my hands. I should be doing it like with Minecraft. You have a network of people. And everyone trusts, oh shit. Everyone trusts the information inside the circle. It's so dark. Everyone trusts the information inside that circle. They're not so sure about the information outside the circle. But inside the circle, yeah, the information is good. So all it takes is for another person out here with other information to sneak into the circle. And if they can convince one person inside this to carry their thing, that person will share it with their entire circle, and their circle will believe it because it comes from one of their trusted members. That's how come this woman who I talked to thought Joe Biden had dementia. Because some bad actor, Russia, from the outside, came in and gave her bad information, or maybe not even her, maybe one of her friends, and her friends spread this information around, and they all buy it. They all buy it. But where does this information come from? It didn't come from this friend. It came from someone outside. Well, who's this person? And then when you check, you find out they're bad people. This is a bad person. Like, why would you trust this information? Like, so if this is like urine, someone peed in a cup and said this is water, you'd be like, no, this is gross. But if you hand it to this person and convince this person that the urine you're handing them is actually water, they'll say, hey guys, want to drink my water? And everyone will trust this person and drink the urine because they were told it was water. And they won't know the difference, right? Maybe they can't taste the difference. I don't know. Maybe there's something to it that they can't tell the difference. But they're drinking urine. They're drinking urine because it came from this person, and this person got it from the guy who just peed urine. but everyone in the circle drank it because it came from this person, not from that person, but from their trusted friend. So this is the hack that right-wing media does to people. Like these ladies, right? They're nice ladies. They weren't nothing bad about them, but they had bad information that they repeated because it came from their trusted network. So I come in and I say Joe Biden's great, and it totally does not jive. It totally does not jive with what they've heard from social media. So now she's got a conundrum. She's like, who do I believe? Like she'll probably believe her friends more, but she has that chance to. This show is that chance for her to dig in and find out. Oh, wait a minute, maybe I've been drinking pee from some strange person over here when I shouldn't have been believing them at all. So let me give you an example. I was on Facebook, right? Facebook. And I go to this page on Coin6, which is the local news station in Portland, right? And what was it talking about? The new location located at 850 West Main Street opened its doors Thursday morning following a performance by the Malala High School cheer team and a ribbon-cutting ceremony. New Goodwill looks to bolster Malala community with jobs and training opportunities to Malala. So that's great, right? New jobs and training, more economic activity, more tax base. That's exactly what you want, right? And look how it's done. It's not that they have to manufacture new stuff. They don't have to burn hydrocarbons in order to create new stuff. All they're doing is taking stuff that would normally go to a landfill and recycling it and putting it back in the community. Fantastic. Great. Amazing. What a good idea, right? What a good idea. So there's this person named Rachel McManus, a new Facebook account. Over here, you can see I had to blur out her profile. Wait a minute. Her profile here. I had to blur it out because there's swastika, some kind of fucking eagle thing. But it's a bunch of Nazi shit, right? It's a new. So she shows a tattoo of a Nazi guy, of a bunch of Nazi shit. And then what does she say? She starts asking questions, just like Hannity, right? Because it sounds like they're doing the Socratic method of inquiry. However, the Socratic method of inquiry only works when the two people are acting with good intentions, with good resource packs. I'm not using. Yeah, this is all okay. Only when people have good intentions. Only when they both are using it in good faith. But when Hannity asks questions, he's never asked questions in good faith. What he's doing is he's insinuating. He's creating a cloud of doubt and fear and uncertainty behind him by just asking questions. But they're all questions in bad faith, meant to raise doubt and create fear, to create a monster of insinuation behind him, because she never comes out firm on a statement. It's only questions. It's only insinuations. So it's not good faith. It's a bad faith thing to do. So she's a troll. She's a troll, but she's disguised, right? And look what she's, and you know, because she's got Nazi fucking tattoos as her profile. So look at what she's doing. This is called jacking off. Just asking questions. But it's not just asking questions. She's insinuating to create an air of badness. So look at the bad air she creates. Are they for profit or non-profit? How do they afford to build all those buildings on the backs of donated items? They don't fucking build buildings, dude. Goodwill moves in the pre-existing buildings. Like, she doesn't know. See, the thing, that's the thing. She's not asking questions in good faith. She's asking questions in bad faith. How much would all of those buildings and land be worth if given to the needy instead? She doesn't care about the needy. She doesn't give a shit. Look at, she's got Nazi tattoos on her deal, dude. So she's asking questions in bad faith. She's a Republican acting as if she's a liberal by asking these questions, but she's a Nazi, right? You know she's a Nazi because she's got a Nazi tattoo on her deal. But so here, let's analyze this further, right? So, the new Goodwill store helps the community. It's great. Rachel McManus is a new Facebook account who's a troll, and you can tell because she got Nazi tattoos everywhere. And she's just asking questions. She's jacking off. She's jacking off in order to create the air of fear, uncertainty, and doubt about this project, which is good for the community. So let's look deeper into Rachel McManus. Let's look deeper into her. You go to her Facebook page, right? And this is a big racial slur. This is a big homosexual slur right here. She used right here. And then of course her picture is of Nazis. This is all Nazi shit, right? It's all Nazi shit. It's all Nazi. So she's a Nazi. She's literally a Nazi. And the thing is that this person is probably not real. It's a new Facebook account, right? But it's a troll. It's a troll. Remember I told you how there's the leader of the Wagner group named Prigozhin. He tried to do a mutiny against Russia. Before he did his mutiny against Russia, he created the Internet Research Agency in St. Petersburg, which is a company that hires a bunch of Russians who can speak English. And those Russians create fake Facebook and social media accounts to go onto these accounts and just spread poison inside of American networks. That's exactly what they do. They're Russian guys. They're Russian guys. This guy named Prigozhin made the Internet Research Agency to hire a bunch of English-speaking Russians to enter into Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, whatever, right? Because all the Americans attached to it, and they break in and they start putting in poison. They act as if they're real people, but they're actually fake people, and they put in poison. And then other people will see them and be like, "Oh yeah, it tastes really good, thanks." But it's piss. It's piss. They're drinking piss water. They're drinking Russian piss water is what's happening. The Russians come in and they make fake accounts to look like they're Americans, and they dump in like piss water into the networks. And then Americans, not realizing that this is a Russian, drinks the piss water because they trust other Americans, even though that's not an American, that's a Russian. So this is what happened to those ladies at the bar. They, in their circle, they only get information from their social media, and their social media has been infiltrated by Russians or other bad actors who come in and inject bad information into the stream, and then because it's in their trusted circle, they believe it. So this creates a dissonance, right? So now this person believes this is the truth, but then they come meet me. Then they come over here and then they meet me. And what I'm saying is totally opposite of what they're saying. Like, it doesn't even match. It doesn't even match. So this person is kind of confused. All their trusted network in their social media is saying this thing. And then here's this guy, absolutely adamant that it's this. And this guy is pretty cool. He's pretty cool. So you're like, well, this guy's pretty cool, but this is what all the social media is telling me. Who do I believe? Hence this show. So I try. So you see that this person's a bad actor, right? That their whole deal is hate. All they want to do is spread hate and racism. So I report her to Facebook, and Facebook says, no, dude, Facebook is like, Nazis are cool on Facebook. Facebook really loves Nazis. They will protect them. There's nothing that the Nazi did is against what Facebook wants. Right? Facebook is totally cool with Nazis there, right? It's I tried to tell Facebook, but Facebook protects Nazis. I tried. Anyways, that's why we have this problem, because Americans are getting their information from bad sources that have been tainted by Russians. Like, I tell you this, but like, do you believe me? Like, you don't even know what I'm talking about. Prigozhin. Everyone should know who is Prigozhin by now. Internet Research Agency. Dude, I don't know where it's at. I've got way too many things here. I've got too much information. Too much information. So, how do I know Prigozhin? How do I know that how do I know that yeah, how do I know this? How do I know that there's this Russian guy? How do I know that there's this Russian in St. Petersburg sending his army after us? How do I know this? Because in the Mother report, Mother identified him. The Europeans hacked the Russians and got video of the fucking people doing hacking in St. Petersburg. I shit you not, dude. I shit you not. We got video. That Dutch hackers got video of Russians. I think it's Dutch hackers got video of the Russians doing the hacking in St. Petersburg. So we have the name of the officers, and they were indicted by Mother. So that means if they ever come within Western jurisdiction, they will be put under arrest and extradited to the United States, where we can put them on trial. Who are they? Who's one of them? Prigozhin. Prigozhin is the one who made the Internet Research Agency to pollute people's brains. So we know this. I know this is real because we've already got an indictment for the guy. And I've shown you what they look like on the internet. Like, they're pretty obvious, these trolls. They're obvious. But you have to look at them and know what signs to look for. If you don't know what signs to look for, you're not going to notice it, and you're just going to believe whatever they type. So, because if you weren't aware that this is a bad person, if you were not aware, if you did not know that, if you did not notice the Nazi signs and stuff, you would read these questions with an open mind and good faith and be like, yeah, maybe they're good faith questions. No, they're not. It's only there to confuse you and to create fear, uncertainty, and doubt. It's a way of polluting our culture. That's exactly what they do. The Russians come in and pollute our culture. They just dump piss water into it. All right. Oh, man. Let's see. What do I want to do next? So here, Joe Biden. This person had the belief that Joe Biden was a doddering idiot, like who had dementia. That was her impression of the most successful president in the past 50 years. Like, how could she have that kind of idea? Because her information source is polluted. Let's look at inflation, right? Inflation in core inflation. Core inflation is at the levels of 19. Core inflation at 2019 levels. Monthly percent increase in core goods and services annualized. So June 2023, we're about where we were in 2019, before the pandemic happened. This is what it was before. This is during the pandemic. This is after the pandemic. So the pandemic messed with us a lot. It whacked our economy out. But you can see platforms, it's starting to stabilize again. So it's starting to come down. Inflation is starting to come down. Positive signs across the board. Monthly contribution to inflation annualized. Core goods, at this point, it's starting to even out. Shelter, look how expensive housing is, dude. It's still outrageously high, but the trend is starting to go down. The trend is trending down. Let's hope, right? One more good month of downward trend would be great. And then the rest of core services are coming back down in line. So this is like what it was before the pandemic, and this is after the pandemic when it went crazy. And it's starting to come back down in line with the rest of the stuff. First time since 2021, 3 months of zero goods x used car inflation. So used autos, rest of core goods. So inflation coming back down. Finally. Oh, I'm lost. I did that one. Services, just for services, not talking about all goods. Monthly core services contribution to inflation annualized. So it's still high for services. Especially shelter, dude. Shelter, food, like housing. Housing's still outrageously expensive. It's still way too high for inflation. But it's been like that for a long time. All right. 3-month percent change of items. So it went. I don't know. I can't read that as well. Distribution of price increases moved out, but now returning back. Distribution of the Cleveland Fed's median trimmed mean CPI price basket, 3-month change annualized with components whose expenditures weights fall below the 85th 15th percentile of price changes removed. So I guess what that means is how much prices have changed. In either direction. Pre-pandemic, this is what it looked like. This is when the pandemic hit. December 2019, and you see that it starts flattening down and spreading out. And it starts getting crazy. Look how crazy it gets. Whoa! This is a change in prices. These are huge changes in prices. The swing between the two, and then it's starting to come back. And this is what normal looks like. This is like crazy inflation, and now it's starting to come back down again. I'm not an economist, but I can look at graphs. Supercore has a very low month. Monthly percent change annualized. Line reflects 2017-2019 trend of 1.2%. So, monthly percent change annualized. Line. Okay, so the line is what? I don't know. I don't understand. 1.2. Oh, okay. So this line right here. This line across means the annual rate, the normal rate. Before the pandemic, this is about the normal rate, 1.2. So the pandemic hit, it went crazy above what the normal is, and now it's starting to fall back in line to where normal is. So this is normal. The normal way it goes. Then it goes really high, and now it's coming down. So inflation's coming down, guys. It's happening. It's just slow. But it's happening. Inflation's coming down. Yay! Downward inflation. So, I would say that's pretty successful. Putting downward pressure on inflation, successful. Biden success. I would call that a Biden success. You see, when you come to complicated terrain like forests, it starts wigging out. It can't handle it. The new drivers from AMD. That's what the cause is. AMD, work on that. I don't know where to put a bug report in or anything about that. But yeah. F-16s. F-16s. Let's get F-16s for Ukraine. All right. What else do I got here? Inflation. So, James Comer. Oh, that's loud. Let's move away. James Comer. Rep. James Comer. He's a Republican on the House Committee on the Weaponization of Government. So he's been talking about over and over about his witness that is going to come in and discuss all of the crimes that he knows about with relation to Hunter Biden and Joe Biden. So James Comer was convinced that his witness was going to come forth and give them all this evidence about the crimes that he knows that Hunter Biden did. So his guy, Gal Luft, was his witness. But it turns out that Gal Luft was a Chinese spy. And he was arrested back in May or something. And then when he was out on bail, he talked to James Comer and told James Comer that he has all this information about Hunter Biden. And James Comer believed the Chinese spy. James Comer said, "Hey, Chinese spy, you say you have information that would hurt the American president? Okay, Chinese spy, I want to bring you on our committee about the weaponization of government so you can attack the American president. Okay, Chinese spy?" James Comer said this. James Comer, okay? Republican on the House Committee on the Weaponization of Government, Republican, talked to a Chinese spy and wants to have a Chinese spy come and testify to what crimes Hunter Biden did. So let's read his tweet. Gao Luft, a Chinese spy, provided incriminating evidence to 6 officials from the FBI and the DOJ in a meeting in Brussels in March 2019. Oh, a Chinese spy told you that. So James Comer says he has no reason to believe the FBI and DOJ acted on the information received from a Chinese spy. Why wouldn't you believe it? Why wouldn't the FBI and DOJ believe a Chinese spy? Yeah, Americans deserve answers. Why is James Comer trying to elevate a Chinese spy to attack the American president? Why would he do that? Why would James Comer elevate a Chinese spy to attack the American president? Keep that thought in your head. And then you look at Newsmax, right? Infiltrated. Chinese spy Luft says China has infiltrated the White House, but not really. Not really. What he infiltrated were the Republicans, because the Republicans brought him in to tell lies. The Chinese infiltrated the Republicans and got the Republicans to believe their spy. Do you understand? I mean, like, can I make it any more clear? How can I help you understand? How can I help you understand? The Republicans are literally an insurgent force, akin to the Confederacy. They're the same thing. Remember, the Confederates back in 60s, 50s, 40s, I don't remember. But when the Civil War happened, the Confederates allied with the English against the United States. Confederates have no loyalty to the United States. They have no loyalty whatsoever. Why would they're not gonna, they're not gonna of course they would ally with enemies of the United States. They're not loyal to the United States. So if the Confederates would ally with Britain, with England against the United States, why is it a surprise that Republicans, who are modern day Confederates, would ally with China, our enemy, against the United States? Why would that be a surprise? Likewise, why is it a surprise that Donald Trump, Republican, would ally with Vladimir Putin against the United States? Why would that be a surprise? Of course, he has no loyalty to the United States. They're Confederates. They want to overthrow the country. That's their whole point. Like, I'm trying to make this as clear to you as possible. If you need any help, let me know. Here. Remember, Donald Trump absolutely. This is a picture from 2018 Helsinki. Donald Trump flew to Helsinki to meet with Vladimir Putin against all his advisors saying so. They said, don't do it, and he still did it anyways. He went into a room with Vladimir Putin, just him and his interpreter, for 2 hours in a room in Helsinki. And when he came out, he looked like crap. He took the notes from his interpreter and tore them up. And then the interpreter would not testify as to what was said. So we have no idea what Vladimir Putin told Donald Trump. But after this meeting, Donald Trump went on the world stage and told everyone that he believes Vladimir Putin and he doesn't believe the Americans. Why would Donald Trump and the Republicans side? And then after that, before that, 8 Republican senators flew to Moscow on the 4th of July. On the 4th of July, they flew to Moscow. Republicans worked with the enemies of America, with the United States, in order to overthrow our country. It's the same thing. It's a pattern. You can see it. It's an easy to see pattern. Republicans are the modern day version of Confederates, and they will ally with our enemies. Look what Donald Trump did when he was president. He was friendly with Putin. He was friendly with Kim Jong-un. Kim Jong-un is a madman. He's crazy. He's like threatening to kill all the millions of people around him. Our friends in South Korea, our friends in Japan, our friends in Guam, our friends in the Philippines, our friends in Australia. Like how could you be friendly with a dictator who kills his own people, who starves his own people so he can create weapons of mass destruction? That guy is like the worst. He's an enemy of the United States, and Donald Trump is great friends with him. Do you see? It's an easy pattern to see that Republicans are the modern day version of Confederates. What else do I got here? Yeah, here, trusting Putin over U.S. intelligence community. Stunning from a leading presidential candidate. But America first and all that. So look at Donald Trump. Donald Trump is over here saying that he believes, again, he's doubling down on it again, saying that he believes Putin against the Americans and our allies. So yeah, I should have crossed that out. But yeah, he's a dumbass. So Gal Luft was charged in a sealed indictment on November 1st, 2022, before there was even a Republican-led House of Representatives. So he was already like charged with being a Chinese spy on November 1st, 2022. So hard to retaliate against someone for schemes cooked up by the GOP in the future. So Republicans are saying, oh, the only reason why the FBI arrested Gal Luft is because he was going to reveal the crimes of Hunter Biden. But you can't retaliate. How's that even possible? He was indicted before the Republicans were even in power, and before we even knew that there were any allegations that he had against Hunter Biden. Yeah, he's a Chinese spy, you dumbass. He's a Chinese spy, Republicans. He's a Chinese spy. For years, Gal Luft, the defendant, a dual U.S.-Israeli citizen, and others known and unknown, engaged in multiple international criminal schemes, including a scheme to act within the United States to advance the interests of the People's Republic of China as agents of China-based principles, without registering as foreign agents as required under U.S. laws. Specifically, Luft agreed with others to, and did, covertly recruit and pay, on behalf of principals based in China, a former high-ranking U.S. government official, including while the former official was an advisor to the then president-elect, to publicly support certain policies with respect to China, without Luft or the formal official filing a registration statement as an agent of a foreign principal with the Attorney General of the United States, in violation of Foreign Agent Registration Act. So in other words, when you show up, you are totally allowed to be a foreign agent. You are totally allowed to be a foreign agent and advance the interests of the foreigners that pay you. You are totally allowed to do it. It's no problem that Luft is in our country advancing calling for the interests of China and pushing for Chinese interests. It's totally okay as long as you register, as long as you tell everyone that's what you're doing. If you tell everyone, hey guys, I'm an agent for Russia. I'm here on behalf of, not Russia, for China. I'm an agent for China. I'm here on behalf of China. As long as you tell everyone, then no problem. You can do what you're doing. The problem is that Luft did not tell anyone that China was paying him. He did not tell anyone that China was paying him. So that's like him breaking into our trusted circle. It's the same thing over here. I'm going to come back to my visualization of it. It's the same thing here. Right? Here we are in the United States. Here's China. And China has a different idea than the United States. Here's Gal Luft. He's in our circle. But he didn't tell anyone that he's from China. So instead, but he's polluting all our information that will be beneficial to China without telling people. And then people would believe him, saying, oh, if an American says so, okay then. No, dude, he's not an American. He's a Chinese spy. He's working for China. If you knew that he was working from China, then what he says you would not believe. Just like so that's why I can talk about this, because I did it the right way. I did it the right way. When I met those two ladies, the first thing I did was identify what I was about. That I'm pushing. I'm on the left. I'm on the left. I'm telling you right now. Before anything else, I'm not trying to trick you. I'm not trying to do anything. I'm telling you now. I'm on the left. Here's my card. Before you promote me, before you advertise me, before you let your 16-year-old daughter look at my content, why don't you check it out to make sure it's okay? I told them that. I told them that before. But that's different than what Gao Luft did. What Gao Luft did is that he didn't tell anyone he was from China. He didn't tell anyone that he was getting paid to promote Chinese interests. He didn't tell anyone. What he said to these people was, "Hey guys, isn't it a good idea if we do this? I mean, I won't say that it helps China, but it's a good idea, right?" No. He's a spy, dude. He's a spy. He's trying to on purpose hurt the United States to help China. That's what spies do. Well, enemy spies. I mean, there are friendly foreign spies too, right? We have friendly foreign spies. It's not all bad. But the enemy spies, yeah, they want to hurt us. That's what they do. So Gao Luft came into our country to spread bad information. And he was indicted in November 2011. Oh, hold on. My cat is banging on the door. Dude, stop it, cat. Where are you? Get out of there, dude. Stupid cat. All right. So yeah, why would Republicans want to help our enemies? Because they're literally Confederates. That's why I can say Joe Biden is fantastic, because Joe Biden reaffirmed all our alliances with our friends again. And not only did Joe Biden reconstitute NATO, Joe Biden he helped expand NATO. That's a fantastic success. See, that's the kind of you have to understand. You have to understand the way the American presidency works. The American government is split into three: judicial, legislative, and executive. President is head of the elective not the elective, executive branch, right? And the legislature, well, they're the legislature. So the thing is that in domestic policy, legislature is king, or not king, but they have all the power. They have tons of power because they literally write the laws. So for domestic stuff, legislature is the deal. But for foreign policy, it's all about the president. It's all about the president. The president is the number one guy in foreign policy. Congress defers to the presidency when it comes to foreign policy in general. So you could look at our domestic policy and then try to attribute it to presidents, but where you really get a clear picture about the effectiveness of a president is in the foreign policy, where he is but the thing is about, if you look at the president for domestic stuff, you have to balance him against the Congress, because president isn't all that strong in domestic sphere. The president in the domestic sphere is only as strong as he is popular. The more popular a president, the more power he has domestically. That's why George W. Bush was able to go to war in Iraq and Afghanistan and pass all these laws and his tax breaks, because he was widely popular after September 11th. It was rally around the flag, rally around the president. Like I'm trying to explain it to you guys to understand. But then after that, his popularity fell off, and then everyone else, and then Barack Obama was okay. Like, he was pretty popular, but he only had the legislature for the first 2 years of his term, and after that, he never had the legislature again. So you can't blame Barack. You can't really talk too much about Barack Obama about his domestic policy, because he had an unfavorable Congress who wasn't going to work with him, and then it just got polarized after that. So, but you could look at foreign policy where it's clear. Barack Obama's foreign policy was like, Donald Trump's foreign policy was terrible. He bolstered all our enemies, and he eschewed all our friends. Joe Biden's foreign policy, fantastic. He expanded NATO. And he's basically destroyed the Russian military. He's basically destroyed the Russian military without losing any American lives. Wow. He destroyed the Russian military without losing any American lives. I mean, he didn't do it directly, but he enabled the Ukrainians to defend themselves, which effectively destroyed the Russian military. Man, Joe Biden is amazing. He's amazing. He's fantastic. Remember, how many service members got beat up or hurt, wounded by Iran when Iran fired a bunch of missiles at our base because Donald Trump assassinated their number 2 guy. And why did Donald Trump assassinate their number 2 guy? Because he tried to start a war with Iran to keep his presidency. See, Donald Trump was a terrible president. He was terrible. He would put the lives of U.S. service members at risk all the time for his own benefit. Not for U.S. benefit, but for his own benefit. He's a horrible president, Donald Trump. That guy's a traitor. And Joe Biden destroyed the Russian military without losing a single American life. Ugh. How could you think that Joe Biden has dementia? The only way you can think that is if you've been infected by spies. If your brain's been infected with bad information and you've been demoralized. Don't make me play the clip of Yuri again. I'll do it. You have to understand that the Russians try to mess with your brain. That the information sphere is literally a sphere of combat, and it's not clearly defined like it is with physical combat. The Russians and the Chinese can attack us here in the United States and attack civilians. All right.
Questions attacking his patriotism, his judgment. It was really amazing, the hypocrisy that was shown. The issue was weaponization of the FBI, and yet every member of this panel who was here on January 6, 2021 knows that the government was weaponized on that day, as I said, nuclearized, to take over the government, to overthrow the government. In contradiction of the oath of office that each of us had taken. And that we've learned that certain members of this committee went and met with Donald Trump, and that they were participating in the overthrow of our government, the nuclearization/weaponization of our government. And yet they had the chutzpah, the audacity, the lack of integrity to question Ray's judgment. And went on and on. And I was sorry, I came in here today and
Is the gentleman accusing us of a lack of integrity?
Mr. Chairman, if you would ask whoever it is to shut up.
I'm sure the chairman will rule when he comes back.
I came in today and I heard some questions about your relationship with the Bar Association. Hey, you don't talk about rope in a house where a man's been hung. You don't ask about membership in the Bar Association on a judiciary committee where there are members who never passed the bar and aren't members of the bar.
Ouch.
And they are members of this committee in good standing. So we need to get beyond the hypocrisy of where we are and don't raise such subjects.
Yes, one of the Republicans, the one who talked shit, never passed the bar and is not a lawyer, but he's on the judiciary committee anyways. How is that even possible? Because he'll vote for Republicans regardless. His purpose is not to pass good policy regarding the judiciary. His purpose there is to advance the Republican agenda, which does not include the institutions of the United States. So this is an example of Democrats being hard asses, because I hear my mom say that, oh yeah, Republicans are such wusses and they always roll over. No, they don't. You just don't see it because the news doesn't play it. But if you watch C-SPAN, you'll see it. Listen.
News. But they're focused on the audit of the Pentagon. Can you imagine if someone audited this committee? Oh wait, I have that audit of this committee. Actually, it's in form of an indictment. That's the audit of this committee. It's an indictment by the Department of Justice because this committee is focusing on working with foreign agents, right? We want to talk about national security. That's why you guys are here. It's about national security. But the main committee is working with an indicted Chinese agent who does business with the Iranian regime and is an illegal arms dealer to Libya. All of this in order to own Hunter Biden. Mm-hmm. That's how far they've stooped. It reads like a double.
Like, yeah, right. Comer, right here. Where's it at? I had it. Comer, oh, no, that's too far. Let's see. 16, I'm on the right one. Gallup, Chinese spy. He believes him, right? You see? Rep Comer, he was on this committee. Oh, wait, here. Rep Comer, who's on this committee. Here's a tweet where he believes the Chinese spy. And he's using the Chinese spy to attack Hunter Biden. Let's go back to read the whole thing.
But they're focused on the audit of the Pentagon. Can you imagine if someone audited this committee? Oh wait, I have that audit of this committee. Actually, it's in form of an indictment. That's the audit of this committee. It's an indictment by the Department of Justice because this committee is focusing on working with foreign agents, right? We want to talk about national security. That's why you guys are here. It's about national security. But the main committee is working with an indicted Chinese agent who does business with the Iranian regime and is an illegal arms dealer to Libya. All of this in order to own Hunter Biden. That's how far they've stooped. It reads like a 007 movie, this indictment, except they're working with the villain. You know, that's why I've sent a letter to the China Select Committee, the chairman of that committee, to open up into an investigation into what's happening in oversight, because I'm deeply worried about whether the CCP has manipulated the information that's been provided to this committee through their foreign agent that they're working with, and the information that they're then providing to the American people.
Yeah, James Comer was using a Chinese spy to build a case against Hunter Biden. And so what other information has James Comer taken from this Chinese spy? Is James Comer working with China? Right? Like, he's a spy, dude. Why are you working with a Chinese spy, Republicans? Why don't we, let's open an investigation here. Why would you be working with a Chinese spy to attack the American government?
Well, it's also why I've sent a letter to the chairman of Foreign Affairs and the chairman of Homeland Security, because I need to know, and the American people need to know, they have a right to know, whether the indicted foreign agent, the illegal arms salesman who is working within the Iranian regime, who is a supporter of terrorism around the world, that's who they're working with. We need to know whether they have jeopardized Homeland Security in their search to help Donald Trump in his real.
Yeah, they're working with Chinese spies. What else have they done? What other bad information is being pushed?
Election. I yield back.
So, so you got this. So we can get back to this model. Here's China. Here's Gal Luft, from China, feeding information to Rep. James Comer, and then James Comer holding this bottle of piss is like, "Hey everyone, why don't you drink out of my water bottle? It tastes so good." And James Comer's like drinking it, and over here is Gal Luft. He's got a bottle, and he's like, excuse me. Here, James Comer, why don't you drink my refreshing glass of water? And James Comer is over here is like, "Oh, thank you. Oh, it's so good." And he turns around and says, "Here, everyone, why don't you share with me my glass of water?" That's what he's doing. It's the same thing. It's so funny. So, remember, NATO is the biggest enemy to Russia. Russia hates NATO. That's why Donald Trump tried to break up NATO so bad, because Vladimir Putin didn't want NATO to be there. NATO serves as a counter to Russian imperialism. So how can Russia be imperialistic if there's NATO, right? It's really hard to be an imperialistic nation when NATO stops you. So Putin's number one goal was to get rid of NATO, break the alliance, and Donald Trump did everything he could to do that. Well, he failed to break break NATO. But he has, but Donald Trump is not the only Confederate inside the U.S. government. The Republican Party is the Confederate Party, so they will work with our enemies to overthrow the United States and to break up the alliances. So here's Marjorie Taylor Greene. This is Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Amendment number 6 directs the president to withdraw the U.S. from NATO. My amendment.
She wants to withdraw the U.S. from NATO. Why would she want to do that? Why would she want to withdraw the U.S. from NATO? Oh, that's right. Because Putin wants the U.S. out of NATO. Republicans will work with our enemies to overthrow our country. I'm not making this up, guys. It's all right here. Believe your eyes, not what the leader tells you. Believe your own senses. Believe your senses.
Would direct the president withdrawal from NATO. They are not a reliable partner whose defense spending should be paid for by.
What? They're not what? Ukraine would have been overthrown by now if it wasn't for NATO. All the support that Ukraine has gotten has been from NATO. What's she saying, that they're unreliable? They just expanded NATO. What are you talking about? The bigger NATO is, the smaller the less likely we have to use our expenditures to protect NATO, right? The bigger it is, the less likely Russia wants to mess with it. It's a defensive pact. It's defense. It's not offense, it's defense. NATO is a defensive alliance. No one is forced into NATO. People ask to be in NATO. The opposite with Russia. No one asked to join the Russian Federation. They were forced into it. Every one of them was forced into the Russian Federation. It's an imperialistic nation. That's how they expand, through force. The USA used to be an imperialistic nation. I hope we can get away from that. I think imperialism is tied to white supremacy. So if we can defeat white supremacy, we can defeat imperialism. That means helping multiracial democracy. You see the difference? Yeah. Anyways, to let you know, Marjorie Taylor Greene is a Confederate. She's trying to overthrow the United States. And you can tell because she allies with the enemies of the United States. Okay. What else do I got? And you know why I know that they tried to here's another tidbit that I had forgotten about in January 6, 2021. Remember, the point of of January 6, 2021 was to overthrow the government. They wanted to overthrow the government. So they wanted to kill the line of secession so that no one could take over. They can decapitate the American government and install Donald Trump as leader. So the whole point was to kill Mike Pence. They fully wanted to kill Mike Pence and Nancy Pelosi. Fully intended to. It was fully their intention to kill Mike Pence and Nancy Pelosi. So let's look. Pence, his aides, and staff were locked out of their offices in the Capitol complex during the insurrection because their access badges had been deactivated the morning of the attack, according to sources familiar with the incident. According to one source who spoke on the condition of anonymity due to an ongoing investigation, Pence's team huddled in a loading dock, unable to access their offices, and started planning contingencies for a constitutional crisis and how to remove the president. The access badges worked that morning before the mob entered the Capitol, but once Pence was removed from the chamber floor, their badges no longer worked. Access was restored later that night after the threat was over. Access had been shut off to the VP office complex and the White House as well during the same time frame. That is where the new information I have ends, however. I want to remind everyone of a few publicly available details. Anyways, Mike Pence had his key card cut off so that he couldn't escape. Or he couldn't access his office in order to transfer the power away from Donald Trump and to him. Because Donald Trump was leading an insurrection. Now another goal of the insurrection was to make it so that it was so violent that Donald Trump would have to declare martial law. And if Donald Trump declared martial law, that would allow the Oath Keepers to remain in the Capitol with guns. That's what the Oath Keepers were counting on. And Donald Trump didn't, but Donald Trump wussed out. Donald Trump wussed out and didn't declare martial law. So... But that's what the Oath Keepers were counting on. They were counting on him declaring martial law so they can occupy the Capitol indefinitely with violence. In I Alone Can Fix It by Lenning and Rucker, Pence refused to get into a car with Secret Service during the attack. He said, "I trust you, Tim, but you're not driving the car. If I get in that vehicle, you guys are taking off. I'm not getting in that car." Remember, Donald Trump wanted to kill the line of secession, and the Secret Service were in on it. Some Secret Service were with Donald Trump. When Joe Biden became president, he totally got rid of all the Secret Service agents that were attached to Donald Trump. He got rid of them. He got totally new people. Additionally, in the book Peril, we learned that Pence asked Dan Quayle multiple times if there was any way he could do Donald's bidding. After 3 rebuffs, Pence finally said to him, "You don't know the position I'm in." He's going to die. That's the position he's in. If you don't do what Donald Trump wants, he's going to have you killed. That's what he was alluding to. P.S. Don't forget this information we learned last night. John Carl says there are photos of Pence teams in the loading dock. Yeah, we saw that. We saw video of it. During the January 6th committee hearing, they played video of Mike Pence and Nancy Pelosi in the loading dock. And Nancy Pelosi was the one coordinating the response more than Mike Pence. Everyone else's badges worked. Remember, congressional staff were able to get into their offices and lock down. Just Mike Pence's badge was shut off. So what else we got? Pardon party. Empty wheel. Notes. Am I the only one who sees the near one-to-one correlation between the radical Republicans who asked Trump for a pardon and those now trying to shut down law enforcement investigations investigating January 6th? So here's Rep. Andy Biggs, and he's trying to he's basically attacking the FBI. Rep. Andy Biggs is attacking the law enforcement agency of the FBI. Why would an insurrectionist attack the American institution devoted to investigating crimes? Oh, because he's a criminal. Oh, dude. For your records, these are the people who asked Trump for a pardon. Mo Brooks, Matt Gaetz, Andy Biggs! Andy Biggs, the guy we just saw saying that we should defund the FBI. Louis Gohmert, Scott Perry, and Marjorie Taylor Greene. All of these people asked for a pardon from Donald Trump. Jim Jordan did not ask for a pardon, but he did inquire about the prospect of a pardon. So he... And none of them want to testify under oath before a committee hearing about what happened. Yeah, if you want to talk about corruption in law enforcement, let's look at the local police departments, right? That's where it's at, local police departments. Body cam catches glimpses inside a Seattle police precinct, and what you will see will disgust you. There's it's a Trump flag, a Trump 2020 flag. So the police in Seattle are pro-Trump. And why would the police in Seattle be pro-fascist? Because remember, Trump is on Team Russia and Team China. They want to overthrow the United States. Why would the police want to overthrow the United States? Here's another thing. I notice a lot of times that whenever I see an American flag, it's generally being flown by someone who's a fascist, who want to overthrow the United States. Why would they disguise themselves with an American flag if they want to overthrow the American flag? Over and over and over again, I see that. I see them stealing, and this is the stuff they stole from protesters. Oops. And they also stole like a they stole like a stuff. Anyways, they're bad guys. Whenever I see someone waving around an American flag, I always think, oh, that guy's probably an insurrectionist who wants to overthrow the United States and replace it with the Confederacy. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy? How that's what ends up happening? The people who wave the flag the most are the biggest traitors who want to overthrow the government, overthrow the country. So one guy, remember a couple of weeks ago I told you about the mayor of Baker City? His name was Matt Diaz. Well, Matt Diaz decided that he's done. He's quitting. Matt Diaz says he's going to resign from he's moving away and resigning from being mayor. So let that be a lesson to you. Pressure works. Public shaming works sometimes if you have integrity. If you have integrity, it can work. So this guy got roasted for posting a swastika and try to equate trans people with Nazis. So how can you be a mayor of a city representing everyone in your city if you call people in your city Nazis for being who they are? Like, you've got problems, and I'm glad that Matt Diaz finally got kicked out of Baker City. He says he resigned and moved away, but I think he got kicked out. What's legalized bigotry? Oh, yeah. So a Michigan hair salon says they are now banning members of LGBT community after the Supreme Court ruling upholding discrimination. She says, I am not willing to cater to requests outside of what I perceive as normal. So Ellie Mistel says, this is exactly what I've been talking about with the breach in public accommodations law created by the Supreme Court. Now, any bigot with a dream feels emboldened to deny services to members of the public. Oh my God, people, I get why many of you are saying the market will provide, but the point is that this is supposed to be illegal, and it was a month ago. The maybe invisible hand of free market canceling is not the thing that is supposed to secure basic rights and human dignity. It's supposed to be in our Constitution, not a market thing. But the Supreme Court is illegitimate and illegal. So that lady was crazy. She just revealed herself as a bigot. And it was illegal. It was illegal to do that. It was illegal, against the law, to do that a month ago, until the Supreme Court made up a hypothetical case and ruled on a hypothetical case. Yeah, that's how bad is our Supreme Court right now. They took away rights based on a hypothetical. Nevada, Trump. Pommel report. Trump just went to Nevada and called the state disgraceful. This is not a guy who's trying to win anything or even running for anything. He's just going through the motions so he can bring in donations to his campaign and use it to pay for his defense for his criminal trials. Yup. Any money you give to Donald Trump doesn't go to his presidential campaign. It goes to his criminal defense. You're helping him defend against overthrowing the United States. Okay. Man, I'm tired. Oh yeah, House Oversight Committee FBI Director Chris Wray. So Chris Wray is the FBI Director. He was appointed by Donald Trump. Central irony of this hearing. One set of questions. Several GOP members, including Chairman Jordan, continue to spread false conspiracy theories that create public distrust of FBI. Another set. Asking Wray why large swaths of public have low regard for FBI under their tenure. Why do people not believe the FBI when the Republicans spend all their time attacking the FBI? It's a mystery. ISA. When the FBI censored the U.S. government, you wouldn't have to take it down. Are you familiar with official Russian language statement of government? Wray describes that SBU asked them to pass through requests. What? All right. Let's see. What else do we got here? A teacher in Wisconsin has been fired from her job after she criticized her public school district's decision to ban the Dolly Parton Miley Cyrus song Rainbow Land, which exalts the virtues of inclusivity, from a children's concert at her campus. Why? Because Republicans are fascists. That's why. They're Nazis. They're literally Nazis. I mean, they're American Nazis. But they believe in racial superiority of white people, and they believe in the white idol. They have a strong belief in the white idol. They really believe in their white idol. And they make regular sacrifices to the white idol in the form of children via guns. By sacrificing children to the white idol with guns, they too can touch guns. So, yeah, they love sacrificing kids for guns, to touch guns. Yeah. So, okay. Now we're looking at the United States. Now we see. Now I'm showing you how there's this. How Russians can confuse people into spreading bad information. And I met some of them at a bar one night. And we were having but they were open-minded. I think they were listening to me, and they would let me talk to them. until their husbands showed up. And then their husbands weren't so interested in having me around. So I was like, okay, I'll leave. Husbands didn't want to hang out with me, so I was like, okay. And that was that, right? That was the end of it. I drank no, that wasn't the end of it. I went to another bar, and I drank a third beer, and that was my downfall. I came home, and I puked all night. It sucked. It was awful. I was hungover all Saturday. It was bad. From 3 beers, dude. That's how weak I am to alcohol. I can't handle alcohol. Yeah. Alcohol and me do not mix. It makes me sick every time. Unless I only drink like 1 or 2. Okay. Voters versus non-voters. Because one of the biggest demographics up for grabs is not the middle, the fence sitters who could go either Republican or Democrat. That's not the people you should be going for. Those guys they don't have any like core to them. They don't really like if you can go either way at this time, it's not even worth trying for you. What the number one group you should be trying for are the non-voters. The non-voters, people who don't vote for whatever reason. Stop trying for the voters, for the fence sitters who can, for the, what do they call them? Swing voter. Don't try for the swing voter. Go for the non-voter. The non-voter. Because then you can be your authentic self to inspire them to join you. It's different, right? If you're trying to get a swing voter, then you're not going to be your authentic self. You're going to try to appeal to whatever it is that will get the swing voter to join your side and not the other side. So you can't be your true self. You have to be a self calibrated to getting the swing voter to join your side. But the non-voter, you're totally free to be yourself. You're totally free to tell them why you dig your position. Because, in fact, the more authentic you are, the better it is. Because authenticity is contagious. Authenticity is contagious. If you're free to be your authentic self, so too will the non-voter. And if they will be inspired to maybe take action. And that would be great. All Americans want people to participate in democracy. We want participation in democracy. So, yeah, absolutely. Be your true self. So let's look at the demographics. So, voters tend to be, evenly spread out, but hardly anyone from the 18 to 29 range votes. That sucks, dude. Young people just don't vote. The older when they start growing up, they start voting more. But when they're young, they don't even bother. You can check over here. The huge group of people are non-voters. Huge group of people aged 30 to 49 are non-voters. That's a massive number of people who don't vote. The old people tend to vote. Old people tend to vote. Young people tend not to vote. You got to inspire them to get them to vote. You got to talk to them and get them to vote. Don't worry about the swing voters. They're going to do whatever they want to do. Who cares? They're not consistent. The people that you want to focus on are the non-voters. People who have given up on democracy. You need to get them back into democracy, to believe in democracy again, to believe in self-rule, because a lot of these people are demoralized and they've given up on truth and on our project. But if you can inspire them again, and if you can get them into it again, that will help our country, and you can get more people participating in democracy. Now, if you look at the race and ethnicity of the non-voter, again, tends to be Hispanic. Hispanic people tend to not vote. That's the biggest thing. That's weird. Black people, 14% don't vote, but that could be an artifact of voter suppression. Oh, that's so these are 2 different years. Yeah. Education. Non-voters tend to have high school education or less. So the less education you have, the less likely you are to vote. And the more education you have, the more likely you are to vote. Income. Yeah, the less money you make, the less likely you are to vote. And that's crazy. That's crazy because there's way more people. Like you should, if you have less money, you should absolutely vote because you don't have any economic power. So the only power you have is your political power through your vote. You should absolutely use that. I can't believe so many people don't vote if you're poor. Man, you should absolutely do it. So, voters, white adults without a college degree, strongly prefer GOP candidates, and they vote at lower rates than those with degrees. So, if you're a college grad, you tend to vote for Democrats, and if without a college degree, you tend to vote for Republicans. Amongst white voters, the race thing comes in more. Even with college grads, like the majority is still Democratic, but it starts leaning more to Republicans. If you're white, the racial component tends to like balance out. If you have no college degree, if you have no education, and you're white, you totally vote for white people, or for Republicans. Yeah, with people without degrees tend to vote Republican. People with less education vote for Republicans. Why? Because they're easily tricked. You see all those connections I showed you about how it's so clear that Republicans are working with the enemies of the United States? If you have little education, it's going to be harder for you to figure that out. So what's this? Percent of U.S. citizens aged 18 and older in 2018 who voted in whatever. Okay, yeah. So this is how consistent people are with voting. Did you vote in none, 30%, 1 or 2, 34%, and 3, 37%. But when you split it out between education and no education, educated people are way more consistent voters than non-educated, or less educated people. So educated people understand the value of their vote and will use it more often. The racial and ethnic divide in 2022 vote choice in the U.S. House. So white people tend to vote for Republican. Black people tend to vote for Democrats. Oh, all the minorities tend to vote for Democrats, except for Republicans, except for white people. White people tend to vote for Republican, which makes sense, right? Republican is the white supremacist party, and and white supremacy is aimed, well, the PR campaign for white supremacy is aimed at white people. So yeah, makes sense. Large divides in candidates support by vote method. Ah, yeah, this is the big one, right? This is very important. So, percent of validated voters who say they cast a ballot for a Republican candidate or Democratic candidate. So, if you voted for Democrat, then you only voted in person on election day. 38. Only 38% of people who voted for the Democrat voted on election day in person. 46% voted in person early. They didn't vote on election day. They voted in the days or weeks ahead of the election to get in front of their lines. 60% of voters who voted for a Democratic candidate voted from mail, voted by mail. If you check the Republican side, right? If you voted for a Republican, then 60% of you tended to vote in person on election day. Very, very traditional. Only one day to vote, only one time to vote, you got to go. 53% voted in person early, Wait, no, what? Oh, of this 51%. I don't understand. I don't get it. And then by mail, very, very less. Now, why is that important? Because Republicans are very opposed to mail-in ballots. Why are Republicans opposed to mail-in voting? Why would they oppose mail-in voting? Because there are a number of vote suppression tactics tied to in-person voting. It's much easier to suppress the vote with in-person voting than it is with mail-in voting. If it's mail-in voting, it's really hard to suppress the vote. You can't intimidate people. You can't question you can't give them limited polling places. You can't make big long lines to vote. You can't have poll watchers intimidating minorities. You can't have police watching everything. So that means traditionally, the way white supremacists stopped minorities from voting was by limiting their polling locations, making the polling, which gave them super long lines, limiting the number of days they could vote, so that they only could vote one day and that's it. And if you can't go, oh well. Or by intimidating them at the polling lines, either by by challengers, people who challenge their votes, or by making them get a voter ID to approve their ID again. Whatever barriers they could put into place, they did so at the polling location. That's why Republicans love in-person voting and hate mail-in voting. If you have mail-in voting, all these barriers you put into place to stop people from voting are circumvented. I just drop my ballot in the mailbox and it gets counted. And you can't intimidate me. You can't challenge my vote in person. You can maybe challenge my vote on the signature, but you don't see me anymore. So you can't tell if I'm black or white or what race I am, right? You don't know. You can't challenge me anymore because you can't see me. So challengings are gone. It doesn't matter if you don't have enough polling places and there's a big fat long line. I just mail it in and completely miss the line. So in that way, many, many more minorities get to participate in democracy. And that is the thing that Republicans do not want to happen. They do not want minorities participating in democracy. That's why they keep telling you we're a republic, not a democracy. They say that because a republic doesn't need votes from all the people. But a democracy does. You need to. Democracy is controlled by the people. A republic is controlled by representatives. Who are the representatives? Whoever the elites want. Do you see why? Why Republicans do not want democracy? They want to get rid of democracy. So they try to enact voter suppression, and mail-in voting gets around their voter suppression. That's why Republicans are opposed to mail-in voting. It's pretty simple if you break it down. The problem is that a lot of people never sit down to think about it. They just listen to what their friends say. And what their friends say is often something they got from a Russian spy or a Chinese spy or a white supremacist. Okay, what else do I got here? Pardon. This is good news. Good news, everyone. Good news. Federal regulators Thursday approved the first over-the-counter daily birth control pill available in the United States, a milestone in decades-long efforts to make oral contraceptives easier to obtain, especially by teenagers and women who don't regularly see a doctor. Who is against women having access to birth control? Who's opposed to that? Republicans! Because they're fascists. They want to deny women control of their bodies. Why? So that they're reduced to baby-making factories. All Republicans want to do are make more white babies to feed the white supremacist idol. That's all they want. They want women. They want to reduce women to housekeeping roles to support white males. That's all they want to do. So that's why it took so long to get the pill approved in the United States. It's been available in all the other countries, but not the United States, because we have a white supremacist faction in this country that needs to be destroyed. We need to destroy the white supremacist faction in the United States because they're messing us up. It's fantastic that women have control of their cycles now. It's great. This is the number one way you're going to reduce abortions. But Republicans oppose it. Why? Because they don't want women to have control of their bodies. They want them to be under the control of men. If they can't control their birth cycles, that means men can rape them, and then force them to get pregnant and then carry their kid. It's literally forced birth. That's why Republicans are opposed to contraceptives. That's why they're opposed to abortion. That's why they're opposed to women's rights, because they're fascists. It's all tied together. I can't make it any more clear. I guess I could if you help me out. If you talk to me and ask me questions, I can try to make it more clear for you if anything's murky. But that's why I'm doing what I do. So on Saturday or Friday night, I told these two ladies exactly what I did. And I would have loved to have talked to them longer and cleared things up, but we were in a bar. So I did not want to talk about politics in a bar. I just told them that's what I was about, but I didn't talk about any topics. I said, if you want to talk about these topics, come to my show on Sunday, and you can ask me questions, and I'll tell you all about it. But I can't do it at a bar. And then their husbands showed up, and then that was the end of it. And there was nothing bad or anything. No one got in any fights. No bad words. Nothing bad was said about anyone. But that was the time I discovered that some Americans get their news strictly from social media. And social media is compromised by Russian trolls and Chinese spies. So take care. Be careful out there. Joe Biden is doing fantastic as president. I mean, he's not perfect, right? He's not perfect. But I need the Democrats to win a trifecta in 2024 so they can reform the Supreme Court and save the United States. All right then. Until next time, America. Peace. Pogokiro out. Stop.